The night she spilled champagne on a Billionaire shirt, Luna Rivera had no idea she was marking herself for a war she didn't start, and a love that could destroy them both. The late afternoon light spilled over Silverstone Vineyard like honey, gilding every glass, every leaf, every white ribbon tied to the rows of chairs that lined the garden aisle. To anyone arriving, it looked like perfection, an oasis of serenity where a bride's dreams were about to unfold. But to Luna Rivera, it was a battlefield dressed in lace. She clutched her clipboard to her chest and marched through the labyrinth of floral arrangements, her borrowed emerald dress whispering around her ankles. Her phone was pressed to her ear, voice hushed but brimming with panic. Please tell me you have white roses. I don't care if they're from your neighbor's garden. I just need them here in 30 minutes. The florist's truck had delivered pink peonies instead of the elegant white roses specified by the bride. The quartet meant to play Canon in D was stranded on Highway 29 with a flat tire, and the cake, a magnificent 4-tier confection, proudly proclaimed, "Congratulations, Mark and Jennifer." The bride's name was Jessica. Luna had exactly 47 minutes to perform miracles before 200 guests realized her first major wedding contract was unraveling. Her heels clicked sharply against the cobblestone path as she navigated around a decorative fountain, her mind juggling logistics, phone calls, and silent prayers. Yes, I'll pay the rush fee," she said into the phone. "Just, please, get me the flowers." Then the universe decided to add one more disaster to her list. She rounded the corner at full speed and collided with something solid, or rather, someone. The impact jolted her clipboard out of her hands, papers fanning through the air like startled doves. Her champagne glass somersaulted, sending a golden arc across a man's pristine white shirt. Her phone followed, clattering somewhere into the rose bushes. Oh no. A pair of steady, strong hands caught her by the elbows before she could hit the ground. The world tilted. For one suspended heartbeat, she found herself inches from a broad chest that smelled faintly of bergamot and power. A low, velvety voice broke through her daze. "Well," he said, amusement curling around the word, "that's certainly one way to make an introduction." Luna blinked, dazed, staring up into eyes the color of storm clouds. Cool, calculating, and far too perceptive. His jaw was sharp enough to cut glass, his dark hair just tousled enough to look intentional. He was devastating in a way that made her brain short-circuit. Her gaze dropped to the spreading stain on his shirt. The champagne shimmered under the sunlight, a perfect pattern of ruin. "Oh my God," she breathed. Your shirt. Oh my God, I am so sorry." He looked down at himself, utterly unbothered, and brushed at the damage with a composure that made her want to scream. "It's just a shirt." "Just a shirt?" Luna gaped at him. "That shirt probably costs more than my car." "Then you should probably be more careful where you're driving," he said, crouching to help gather her scattered papers. His tone was mild, but the corner of his mouth twitched in amusement. Luna's cheeks flamed. "I wasn't driving. I was... never mind. This is all going wrong. The flowers, the music, the cake." She stopped herself, realizing she was babbling. "I'm sorry, I'm not usually this chaotic," he offered. "Unlucky," she countered, straightening. He handed her the last page of her timeline and extended a hand. Damian Cross. Luna froze mid-breath. She knew that name. Everyone in the California event industry did. Billionaire, innovator, the elusive tech mogul who'd turned a startup into an empire before his 30th birthday. His guest appearances at events were legend, and always deliberate. She took his hand before her nerves could protest. Luna Rivera, Rivera Events. His grip was firm, confident. "You're the coordinator." She nodded, mortified. "I swear I'm usually better at it when I'm not assaulting VIP guests with champagne." "Good to know," Damian said, eyes flickering with something unreadable. "Tell me, Ms. Rivera, do all your weddings come with this level of excitement?" "Only the ones that threaten my sanity," she muttered, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have 38 minutes to perform 3 miracles." Damian tilted his head, studying her. "You think you can fix all that?" Luna lifted her chin, summoning the last of her dignity. "Mr. Cross, I once organized a 200-person corporate retreat after the planner quit 6 hours before start time. This is Tuesday." For the first time, his expression softened. A flicker of admiration crossed his features, quick but unmistakable. "Then I look forward to seeing what Tuesday looks like when you're not covered in champagne." Her heart skipped once, but she forced a smile. "You won't even recognize me." "I doubt that," he said quietly. "Good luck, Ms. Rivera." Luna turned away, pulse racing, the weight of his gaze lingering like heat against her back. She had no time to dwell on it. There were flowers to replace, music to rearrange, and icing to fix. But as she sprinted toward the kitchen, her mind betrayed her with a single thought. He wasn't just any guest. He was watching her, and foes. For the first time that day, the chaos didn't just feel like a disaster. It felt like the beginning of something dangerous, thrilling, and impossible to ignore. The ceremony was saved, barely. By some miracle of charm, bribery, and sheer willpower, Luna Rivera had transformed a catastrophe into a picture-perfect wedding. As twilight fell over the vineyard, the air shimmered with laughter, clinking glasses, and the sweet hum of a jazz trio that had been her last-minute salvation. Every guest smiled, blissfully unaware that the entire event had almost collapsed hours before. Everyone except one man, Damian Cross. He stood at the edge of the dance floor, dark suit pristine once more, the earlier champagne disaster erased but not forgotten. His presence was magnetic. People seemed to orbit him without realizing why. Conversations shifted subtly when he approached, voices softened, backs straightened. He was a man accustomed to power, and it lingered around him like a second skin. Luna tried to focus on her checklist, pretending not to notice when her gaze drifted toward him again and again. He had that effect, an unspoken gravity that pulled focus without effort. She hated that she noticed, hated that she cared. She didn't do powerful men, not anymore. When the music swelled and the bride's laughter carried across the courtyard, Luna allowed herself a breath. She'd done it. She'd actually pulled off a miracle. The flowers were white, the music seamless, the cake fixed. Her staff would get bonuses if she could afford them. She leaned against a pillar, rubbing at the ache in her shoulders, silently congratulating herself, until a voice behind her cut through the noise. "You clean up well for someone who nearly declared war on champagne." Her heart jumped. She turned. Damian was there, holding 2 glasses of wine, one extended toward her like an unspoken peace offering. "I thought you'd disappeared," she said cautiously, taking the glass. "I figured you'd have more important places to be." "Tonight," he said, "I wanted to see how the miracle worker finished her act." His smile was subtle, controlled, but his eyes glinted with quiet amusement. Luna laughed under her breath. "Miracle worker, I like that. Maybe I'll add it to my business cards." "You should," he said, stepping closer. "It suits you." There it was again, the electricity, that barely there shift in the air whenever he looked at her. It made her pulse quicken in ways that were both exhilarating and inconvenient. "Mr. Cross." "Damian," he corrected gently. "Please." "Damian," she repeated, tasting the name like a secret. "If you're trying to make me forget that I ruined your shirt, it's working. Almost." "Good," he murmured, sipping his wine. "Then maybe you'll forget the part where you called my wardrobe more expensive than your car." "Oh no," she said with mock horror. "I stand by that." He laughed, a genuine low sound that wrapped around her like velvet. "You're not afraid of me." "Should I be?" she asked. "Most people are, or at least they pretend to be polite about it. Most people probably want something from you," Luna said softly. "And you don't?" His tone wasn't accusing, just curious. "I want my company to succeed," she said truthfully. "But I don't need anyone else to build it for me." That earned a flicker of something different in his eyes. Respect, maybe even admiration. Before either could say more, a burst of laughter came from the dance floor. The bride, Jessica, was waving frantically. "Luna, come here, you have to meet someone." Luna groaned. "Duty calls." Damian watched as she made her way across the terrace, her emerald dress catching the golden light. He didn't move, just watched her navigate the crowd like a conductor moving through her orchestra. Graceful, composed, utterly unaware of how many eyes followed her. When Jessica pulled Luna close, it was with uncontained joy. "Luna, this is the man I've been dying to introduce you to, Damian Cross. He's my husband's business partner, and coincidentally, the one who suggested this venue." Luna froze mid-smile, the color draining from her face. Jessica continued, oblivious. "He's been talking about finding new event partnerships for months. I told him after tonight he's crazy not to work with you." Damian's lips curved slightly, watching her reaction. "I think we've already met," he said smoothly. "You," Luna stammered, "you set this up?" Jessica blinked between them. "Wait, what's happening? Did you two—" "We literally ran into each other," Damian said dryly. "Champagne was involved." "Oh, that's perfect," Jessica beamed, entirely misunderstanding. Fate has a sense of humor. As Jessica flitted away, Luna turned on Damian, voice low. "You knew." "I knew Rivera Events was handling the wedding," he said evenly. "I didn't know Rivera was you until you introduced yourself." Right, she said, crossing her arms. And I suppose you just happened to recommend this vineyard for their wedding because, what, you like the scenery? His eyes darkened, amusement fading into something sharper. Because I wanted to see how you worked under pressure. Luna stared at him, stunned. You were testing me? He took a measured step closer. I was curious. Your reputation in Napa's small circles precedes you. Creative, relentless, impossible to intimidate. I wanted to see if that was true. And? He smiled faintly. I underestimated you. Her pulse quickened again, though she fought to keep her expression neutral. So this is all business to you? Not entirely. Then what is it, Damian? He leaned in just enough for her to catch the faint scent of sandalwood. It's potential. I see something in you that most people overlook in themselves, a refusal to break. Luna swallowed hard. That's not exactly a compliment. It is from me, he said, because I don't partner with people who crumble when things go wrong. I partner with those who turn chaos into order. She wanted to argue, to call him arrogant, but there was sincerity in his voice, an unsettling kind that made her believe he meant every word. Then he said something that knocked the air out of her completely. I want to offer you a contract, 3-year partnership. You'll handle every Cross Industries event, product launches, investor galas, private retreats, full creative control. In return, I offer you resources, visibility, and security. Luna blinked. Security? He nodded once. You'll never have to worry about chasing clients again. It was the kind of offer that could change everything, her business, her life, her dreams, and yet... Why me? She asked quietly. His gaze softened just enough to reveal the truth beneath his precision. Because when you spilled champagne on me, you didn't apologize like you were beneath me. You looked me in the eye. No one does that anymore. Her heart thudded in her chest. The music around them blurred into something distant. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Say you'll think about it, he said. And when you do, ask yourself whether it's the business that scares you, or me. Luna held his gaze for a long, charged moment. Then, with a faint smile, she turned away. Maybe both, she said softly. And as she walked back into the glow of string lights and laughter, Damian Cross, man of precision, power, and impossible control, realized that for the first time in years, he was the one being thrown off balance. He watched her disappear into the crowd and murmured to himself, now that's worth chasing. Morning sunlight filtered through the sheer curtains of Luna Rivera's small apartment, turning the room into a watercolor of gold and shadow. Her alarm blared for the 3rd time, ignored as she lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Sleep had been impossible. Damian Cross's offer, the words, the tone, the way he had said, it's not the business that scares you, it's me, had looped in her head all night like a song she couldn't turn off. She finally sat up, rubbing her temples. The taste of adrenaline and doubt still clung to her. On paper, it was a dream offer. Security, prestige, and a chance to prove she could play in the same arena as the power players of California. But something about it didn't feel accidental. It felt designed. By the time she arrived at her office above the cafe in downtown Napa, her assistant Mia was already waiting with 2 coffees and wide eyes. You look like you fought a storm and lost, Mia said, sliding her the latte. Bad night. Luna sighed. Let's just say someone dropped a 3-year contract on my lap last night. Mia nearly choked. Wait, what? Who? Damian Cross? Mia's jaw dropped. The Damian Cross? As in billionaire genius, never smiles in interviews Damian Cross? Luna nodded, half-dazed. He said he wants to partner with Rivera Events, exclusively. Mia blinked. That's not a partnership. That's an empire calling. Or a trap, Luna muttered. Before Mia could ask more, the glass door opened, and an elegant woman stepped inside, commanding the space with quiet authority. Mid-50s, silver streaks through dark hair, pearl earrings that caught the light. Luna recognized her instantly. Miss Rivera, the woman said warmly. I'm Victoria Cross. Luna froze mid-sip, the name hitting like a thunderclap. Damian's mother. Mrs. Cross, this is a surprise. Victoria smiled, the kind of smile that came from a lifetime of being listened to. Please call me Victoria, and I hope you don't mind the intrusion. I was in the area and thought I'd stop by. Mia looked like she'd seen royalty. I'll just, get more coffee. She vanished like smoke. Victoria took a seat, crossing one leg gracefully over the other. This is a lovely office, small but intentional. Luna sat opposite her, hands folded to hide her nerves. Thank you. I like to keep things personal. My clients come here because it feels less like business and more like trust. Victoria nodded approvingly. That's rare. Damian was right about you. Luna blinked. He talked to you about me? Oh, more than you'd expect. Victoria sipped her coffee. My son doesn't usually discuss his work with me, but this week he's mentioned your name 3 times. He even asked my opinion about event partnerships, which, believe me, he's never done before. The words hung between them, soft but sharp. Luna's voice came out careful. If this is a way... Morning, Mrs. Cross, I promise I have no intentions other than business. Victoria's laugh was light, genuine. Dear, if I were here to warn you, you'd know. I'm here because I'm curious. Curious? Yes, I wanted to see the woman who managed to rattle Damian. Rattle him? Since he was a boy, he's lived like the world owes him perfection. He doesn't stumble, doesn't lose control, until you. Luna flushed. I didn't mean to. Victoria waved a hand. Oh, I know. You were simply doing your job, but it's been a long time since I've seen him look unsettled. Luna hesitated. And you think that's a bad thing? Not at all, Victoria said softly. Sometimes the right person doesn't calm the storm. They are the storm, the one that clears the air. Something shifted in Luna's chest, a mix of flattery and fear. She had thought this was a normal business meeting, but the way Victoria looked at her, calm, assessing, kind, made it feel like an evaluation. Victoria set her cup down and leaned forward. Let me give you one piece of advice, Miss Rivera. My son builds everything with purpose. He doesn't chase accidents. If he's offered you something, it's because he believes in what you can do. But when Damian believes in something, he doesn't stop at belief. He claims it. Luna's pulse skipped. That sounds possessive. Victoria's eyes softened. It can be, but it's also what makes him extraordinary. The same drive that built his empire is the same drive that makes him love fiercely when he finally does. Before Luna could respond, Victoria rose, smoothing her suit jacket. Don't run from him, Luna, but don't lose yourself either. My son respects only those who can stand toe-to-toe with him. She started for the door, then paused. And for what it's worth, I like you. You remind me of the woman Damian's father fell for. Stubborn, brilliant, and impossible to ignore. The bell above the door chimed as she left. Luna sat in silence, heart pounding. She didn't know whether she'd just been warned or blessed. Her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. Damian Cross. Did my mother behave herself? Luna stared at the text, half smiling despite herself. Luna. She behaved better than I did. She drinks her coffee black. You should try it sometime. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then reappeared. Damian. I'd rather have mine with company. Dinner tonight? She bit her lip, hesitating. Her instincts screamed danger, but her curiosity, and something deeper, whispered yes. Before she could type a reply, another text arrived. Damian. If you're not ready for dinner, come to my office instead. I have a proposal you'll want to see. The words sent a current through her veins. Proposal, not contract. Proposal. Luna exhaled slowly, her reflection staring back at her from the office window. She didn't know what game Damian Cross was playing, or if she was already caught in it, but one thing was certain, he was a man who didn't offer second chances. She grabbed her bag, slipped on her heels, and locked the office door behind her. As she stepped into the sunlight, a quiet thought echoed in her mind, something Victoria had said before leaving. He doesn't chase accidents. Luna's heart hammered, because suddenly she wasn't so sure their collision at the wedding had been won. Not anymore. The elevator to the top floor of Cross Industries was made of glass, clear, sleek, and mercilessly revealing. As it ascended, Luna Rivera watched the landscape of Napa Valley unfurl beneath her feet. Golden vineyards bathed in late afternoon sunlight, ribbons of road winding through perfection. The higher she went, the tighter her pulse became. This wasn't a meeting, it was an audition. She'd told herself all morning that she wasn't nervous, that she could handle Damian Cross and whatever sleek empire Haas. He ruled from his glass tower, but now, surrounded by the quiet hum of power, she wasn't so sure. The elevator doors opened with a soft chime, and the moment she stepped out, she understood why people called this place the Fortress. The air was cold, filtered, precise, like it had been curated. Polished marble stretched across the floor, reflecting modern art and success. A young assistant with perfect posture greeted her. Miss Rivera, Mr. Cross is expecting you. Luna nodded, smoothing her hair, though her palms were already damp. The assistant led her down a hallway lined with photos of achievements, product launches, magazine covers, world summits. In every picture, Damian was there. Dark suit, unreadable expression, the kind of man who didn't smile for cameras because he didn't need to. When the assistant opened the door to the executive conference room, Luna's breath caught. The space was massive, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows that poured gold light over a table of dark walnut. Damian stood with his back to her, jacket off, sleeves rolled up, his attention fixed on a set of holographic displays projected from a sleek tablet. Even in silence, he looked like command personified, focused, sculpted, and almost inhumanly composed. He didn't turn immediately when she entered. "You're early," he said, voice smooth as glass. "Or you're late," she countered, because something in her refused to play the role of intimidated guest. That earned a faint smile as he turned toward her. "Touché." She hated the way her pulse reacted when his gaze found hers. The dark gray of his eyes held something dangerous, an invitation, or maybe a warning. "Coffee?" he asked, motioning toward the espresso bar in the corner. "No, thank you," Luna said, crossing to the table. "I didn't come for caffeine." "No," he said, watching her with the faintest curve of amusement. "You came for answers." He wasn't wrong. Damian gestured to the seat opposite him, then tapped the screen of his tablet. Instantly, a 3D projection appeared between them, a digital model of an event space, elegant, innovative, breathtaking. "This," he said, "is what I want you to design." Luna leaned forward. The projection shimmered, revealing an intricate setup, stage, lighting, movement flow, all aligned with the Cross Industries logo. "This is your annual investor gala," he nodded. 6 weeks from now. It's typically hosted at the Ritz-Carlton, but I'm tired of predictable. I want transformation. I want people to walk out believing Cross Industries isn't just another company. It's the future. And you want me to make them believe that? I want you to make them feel it, he corrected. Luna folded her arms. You already have an events team in San Francisco. Why me? He met her gaze, unflinching. Because they play it safe. You don't. The compliment hit harder than she expected. She swallowed, trying to steady herself. And what do you get out of this partnership besides a flawless event? He leaned back in his chair, studying her like a riddle he intended to solve. I get to see if your chaos and my control can coexist. If they can, there's nothing we can't build together. The silence that followed was electric. Luna felt the shift, something beyond business vibrating between them, but she couldn't let herself get swept up. You're asking me to take a risk, she said finally, on a man I barely know. He tilted his head. You took one the second you walked through that door. She hated how right he was. Damian slid a folder across the table. Inside was the contract. Dense, elegant, terrifying. Her name printed in embossed lettering. Before you sign, he said, you should know the terms. Exclusivity. I want Rivera events focused entirely on Cross Industries for the duration of the partnership. You'll be compensated well, more than well, but it means turning down other clients. Luna raised an eyebrow. That's not a partnership, that's possession. His smile was faint but sharp. Depends how you define ownership. She shot him a look. You don't own people, Mr. Cross. Not people, he said softly, but I do invest in them, and I protect what I invest in. That word, protect, sent a shiver through her. It was meant as reassurance, but it sounded like something else entirely. What if things don't work out, she asked. He paused, then said, then you'll walk away with your reputation, your independence, and a hell of a story to tell. But if they do work out... His eyes met hers, intense, unyielding. You'll change your life. Luna exhaled slowly, her thoughts a storm of ambition and fear. You don't mix business with pleasure, do you? Damian's voice dropped an octave. Never. But sometimes business feels like pleasure when you find the right partner. The air between them tightened. The setting sun cast them both in molten gold, the silence pulsing with something that wasn't quite professional anymore. Before she could respond, the intercom buzzed. Damian's assistant's voice came through, taut with urgency. Sir, there's been a breach on the investor servers. It looks like a targeted hack. Internal data was accessed. His entire demeanor changed, shoulders straightening, eyes hardening into steel. Lock it down, he ordered. Trace the entry point. The assistant hesitated. It came from an external IP linked to Rivera events. Luna froze. What? Damian's gaze snapped to her, cold, analytical. The shift was instant. Explain. Her heart raced. I don't know what you're talking about. My company doesn't have access to your systems. Apparently, it does. He moved to his computer, fingers flying across the screen. Numbers and code filled the monitor, red warnings flashing. Luna felt her stomach twist. She recognized her own business IP. Someone had used her server. I've been hacked too, she said, panicked. This isn't me. Damian's jaw flexed. Then someone wants me to think it is. For a long, tense moment, silence reigned. Only the hum of the servers and Luna's uneven breathing filled the room. Then Damian said quietly, "This changes things." "What does that mean?" Luna demanded. "It means you're either the most reckless genius I've ever met." His gaze burned into hers. "Or someone is using you as bait." Her pulse thundered. "Bait for what?" He didn't answer. Instead, he reached for his phone. "Security. Find out who's targeting Rivera events, and do not alert the board." When he hung up, his voice was softer, but far more dangerous. "Whoever did this wanted me to doubt you, Luna, which means they know exactly what's at stake." "And what is at stake?" Damian looked at her for a long moment, something dark flickering behind his calm facade. "Everything I've built, and possibly," his tone dropped, almost a whisper. "You." Luna swallowed, realization dawning like thunder. This wasn't just business anymore. Whatever she had walked into with Damian Cross wasn't a partnership, it was a storm, and now someone was determined to make sure it destroyed them both. Night fell over Napa like a velvet curtain drawn over a secret. The Cross Industries skyline glittered in the distance, sharp, unbothered, and sterile. But inside Damian Cross's world, nothing was calm anymore. The breach had spread. By morning, every major investor was whispering about the security compromise. Headlines were appearing on small tech blogs, unverified, speculative, but enough to cause ripples. Cross Industries was bleeding reputation, and someone had made sure Luna Rivera's name was on the knife. Luna hadn't slept in 24 hours. Her office, once her sanctuary, now felt like a crime scene. Every glowing device looked like an accusation. Her inbox was a nightmare. Reporters asking for comment, anonymous messages calling her a fraud, even death threats disguised as advice. She sat at her desk, clutching her coffee cup, when her phone buzzed again. "Unknown number. You should have stayed out of Cross's business. Now it's too late." The message sent a chill straight through her. Her assistant Mia entered, pale and wide-eyed. "Luna, the police are outside." "What?" "They said they got a report about stolen data linked to our IP address. They want to ask questions." Luna's heart thudded painfully. "Who reported it?" Mia hesitated. "They said, Cross Industries Legal Department." The words landed like a slap. Damian had promised to protect her, to trust her, and now he'd sent lawyers and law enforcement? Luna rose, fury eclipsing fear. "I'm going there myself." The drive to Cross Industries was a blur of city lights and fury. By the time she stormed through the glass lobby, the receptionist barely had time to react. "I need to see Damian Cross." The young man behind the desk stammered, "I'm sorry, Ms. Rivera, but Mr. Cross is—" The elevator dinged. The doors opened. Damian stepped out, flanked by two security officers. His expression was unreadable, polished, distant, the businessman mask perfectly in place. "Luna," he said evenly, "we were just coming to find you." "Congratulations," she snapped. "You saved yourself the trip." The guards exchanged wary glances, but Damian raised a hand, dismissing them. "Give us a moment." When they were alone, Luna crossed her arms. "You told me you believed me, and now your company's lawyers are sending the police to my office?" "Because someone's framing you," Damian said quietly, "and they're getting bolder." Her anger faltered. "Wait, what?" He exhaled, running a hand through his hair, for once looking less like a mogul and more like a man on the edge. "The attack didn't just come from your servers. It was rerouted through multiple systems, including one inside my own network." "So you think this is an inside job?" "I know it is." He turned to the security feed projected on the glass wall. Dozens of screens flickered with data, IP traces, login attempts. One name blinked repeatedly. N. Hawthorne. Luna frowned. "Who's that?" "My head of cybersecurity," Damian said grimly. Or at least he was, until he vanished last night. Her stomach dropped. "You think he's behind it?" "I think someone bought him. Cross Industries has enemies, Luna. Competitors who've been trying to dig into my private research division for months. But this," he paused, eyes flicking to her, "this feels personal." The way he said it made her uneasy. Personal how? He hesitated, then turned off the screen. You should come with me. Where? To the gala venue. You wanted to see the site early, didn't you? Luna stared at him. You want to talk business now? I want to keep you safe, he said, and this building isn't safe anymore. There was something in his tone that stopped her from arguing, against her better judgment. She followed him into the private elevator that led to the underground garage. The drive was silent at first. The only sound was the hum of the engine and the low rhythm of rain beginning to fall. Damian's profile was carved in tension, jaw tight, hand gripping the wheel just a little too firmly. Luna finally spoke. You said this was personal. What did you mean? He didn't look at her. Cross Industries isn't just a company. It's a web of investments, research, and alliances. A few years ago, one of those alliances went bad, very bad. Luna turned toward him. How bad? Bad enough that I buried it. His voice dropped, quiet but dangerous. A prototype was stolen, something revolutionary. I never told the board who took it because the truth would have destroyed people's lives. But that technology, it's what's being targeted again now. Luna's pulse quickened. You think this breach is about that prototype? I know it is. And the person who stole it the first time, he finally looked at her, was my ex-fiancé. The words hit like a blow. He didn't elaborate, didn't need to. Luna could read it in his expression, the betrayal, the anger, the cost. She vanished after she sold it to a rival company, Damian continued, but someone's using her old access codes now, which means she's either resurfaced or someone wants me to believe she has. Why involve me? Luna asked, her voice low. Because you're new, untouched by this world. That makes you unpredictable and valuable. Lightning flashed across the windshield, illuminating his face. For the first time, she saw the cracks behind his control, the fear he refused to name. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his expression darkened. We have to stop by the vineyard, he said abruptly. The vineyard? Why? Because someone just tried to access your event files from the, But when they arrived, the Silverstone vineyard looked nothing like the place where they'd first met. The fairy lights had been replaced with flood lamps, and police tape cordoned off the banquet hall. 2 officers stood near the gate, their flashlights cutting through the rain. Damian's bodyguard approached, tense. Sir, the system logs show an attempted data transfer from the control room 20 minutes ago. Whoever did it left this behind. He handed Damian a small, wet envelope. Damian opened it carefully. Inside was a single flash drive and a note written in elegant cursive. You shouldn't mix love with business. It makes you weak. Luna's heart stopped. Damian stared at the note, his expression unreadable. It's her handwriting, he said softly. Amara. Your ex? Luna whispered. He nodded once, then turned to her with a look that made her breath catch. If she's really back, she won't just come after me. What are you saying? He looked past her, into the darkness beyond the vines. She'll come after you, Luna, because you're what I didn't have before, a weakness worth exploiting. Thunder rolled overhead, echoing through the hills. Luna shivered, not from the cold, but from the realization that she had stepped into something far bigger than a corporate rivalry. Damian pocketed the flash drive and met her eyes. You still think this is about business? She didn't answer, because somewhere deep down, she already knew. This wasn't about data or contracts anymore. It was about power, betrayal, and the dangerous kind of love that could destroy them both. Rain hammered the roof of the old vineyard estate, the same one where it had all begun, the same place Luna Rivera had once run through with a clipboard in hand, praying to keep a wedding from collapsing. Now, she wasn't saving flowers and frosting. She was fighting to save her future. Damian Cross stood by the massive eastone window, his reflection fractured by lightning. His tailored shirt clung to his shoulders, damp from the storm, but his mind was elsewhere, calculating, connecting, remembering. The flash drive sat on the table between them, glinting under the thunderlight like a confession waiting to be heard. She knew we'd come here, Luna said quietly. Her voice trembled, not from fear, but from the enormity of it all. Amara planned this. Damian turned toward her, his expression unreadable. She always plans ahead. That was her gift, and her curse. Luna's pulse thudded. And she's your ex-fiancée, she said, testing the word, tasting its bitterness. He didn't flinch, but his jaw tightened. She was also my first business partner. We built the early version of Cross Industries together, until she sold us out. Sold you out to who? Damian hesitated. To Virex Technologies, a competitor with government contracts. They offered her a fortune for access to a project we were developing. The prototype? He nodded once. Quantum integrated encryption, a system that could break or protect any digital infrastructure in the world. In the wrong hands, it's chaos. Luna stared at the flash drive. And that's what's on there? Or what she wants me to think is on there? He ran a thumb along the drive's edge, eyes cold. Amara was the kind of woman who loved two things, control and revenge. If she's resurfaced now, it's because she wants both back. Lightning cracked across the valley. The electricity flickered, plunging the room into a momentary shadow. Luna exhaled slowly, her nerves fraying. You think she's behind the breach? I think she's behind everything. The data leaks, the anonymous threats, even framing you. Luna's breath caught. Why me? Because she knows me, Damian said softly. She knows I wouldn't risk you. Her eyes searched his face, trying to read what he wasn't lying. You keep saying you want to protect me, Damian, but what are you not telling me? Luna blinked, chest heaving. What? Damian looked at her, realization dawning. You didn't destroy it. You disarmed it. The drive's core was sealed under biometric encryption. It needed chaos to crack. He turned back to Amara, fury igniting behind his calm. You used her as the trigger. Amara wiped blood from her lip, her voice dripping venom. You always had a weakness for the unexpected, Damian. I just gave you one. Before he could respond, sirens wailed outside. The sound of engines cut through the rain. Damian's security team stormed the building, flooding the hall with lights and shouts. Amara raised her hands slowly, eyes locked on Damian's. You think you've won? She murmured. You never understood, did you? Love and war, they're the same game. And you always pick the wrong side. They dragged her away, her laughter echoing through the corridor, long after she was gone. Luna leaned against the wall, shaking, the remnants of the flash drive sparking faintly at her feet. Damian knelt beside her, touching her arm gently. You saved my company, he said quietly. And probably my life. She let out a trembling laugh. That wasn't in the contract. He smiled faintly, his hand still on hers. Maybe it should be. Outside, the storm began to break, the clouds parting just enough to reveal the faintest hint of dawn. Damian stood, helping her up. What happens now? She asked. He looked out the window toward the vineyards where it had all started. Now, he said, we start again, together. But this time, he paused, eyes meeting hers. No secrets. Luna nodded, exhaustion giving way to something like relief. She followed him toward the doorway, leaving the shattered remnants of the past behind. As they stepped out into the cool morning air, the first sunlight broke through the clouds, spilling gold across the wet vines, washing the night clean. But deep inside Damian's chest, one thought still lingered. Amara's final words. Because in love, as in war, he knew, peace never came without a cost, and the past had a way of finding its way home.